Majestic spirit of the unseen realms, I welcome you with a force that shakes the silent halls of destiny itself. I welcome you with a thunder that does not roar outward but inward, straight into the core where your deepest and most guarded potential has been sleeping behind unbreakable doors. I welcome you with a reverence reserved only for those rare few who dare to step forward when the world expects them to shrink. I welcome you because your arrival here is no accident and no coincidence. It is a disturbance in the order of things, a dimension shift, a breach in the walls that were never meant to be opened. Yet, here you stand, breathing in a moment that was never designed for ordinary people. This information was locked behind clearance levels so high, even shadows hesitated to approach them. So how did it end up in your hands? How did something meant only for the unseen few, only for those forged in silence and sharpened by relentless trials, find its way to someone like you, someone who perhaps at times doubted your own fire, someone who maybe long believed that your story was just another quiet page in an overcrowded universe? Yet here you are holding something that was never meant to be accessible to the unawakened. And even you must be wondering, how did you access this? The answer is not simple, because you did not arrive here by chance. You arrived here because life itself has been studying you more closely than you have ever studied yourself. It has been watching the nights you whispered your battles into pillows that could never whisper back. It has been observing the moments you carried, burdens no one else could see and no one else would ever thank you for. It has seen you stumble and rise and stumble again, and still return to the path with a will that refused to die even when everything around you suggested it should. Life saw you when you thought you were invisible, and it realized that you were not just surviving, you were transforming. There is a moment in every person's existence when the world tests the edges of their potential, not to destroy them, but to measure whether they are ready to step into a realm beyond the reach of the ordinary. And that moment often comes disguised as confusion, as chaos, as exhaustion, as heartbreak, as isolation. But make no mistake, it is a threshold, and by crossing it, you become someone the world cannot categorize anymore. You become someone who sees through illusions, who senses opportunities hidden behind obstacles, who can read the silence between life's loudest moments. And that is why this information reached you, because something in you crossed that threshold. Something in you awakened without your permission, something that broke through the walls, built to contain your possibilities. Something in you refused to fade into the background, even on the days when you felt powerless, even on the days when everything told you to give up, you did not. And that single decision created a crack in the structure of your fate, a crack large enough for forbidden knowledge to slip through. You may not realize it yet, but the world has already shifted because of your decision to keep going. When surrender seemed easier, your persistence created a ripple that reached beyond the limits of your understanding, a ripple that traveled through layers of reality, through boundaries drawn by fear, and through limitations carved by your past. And when it reached its destination, it returned, carrying with it a message encoded in the very item now in your hands, a message that whispers the truth you have denied for too long. You are more powerful than you believe. This moment is not asking you to become something new. It is asking you to remember who you were before. Doubt entered your life before fear, rewrote your identity before pain disguised itself as weakness, before the world convinced you that you were ordinary. You were never ordinary. You were simply not awakened, not activated, not fully aware of the depth of your own fire. But now that fire has been seen by the universe itself, and when the universe notices you, everything changes. The doors that were sealed begin to unlock. The secrets that were hidden begin to surface. The paths that were impossible begin to clear. Some people spend their entire lives waiting for such a moment and never receive it because they never push beyond the surface level of their existence. They never challenge the boundaries placed on them. They never dare to question the narrative written by others. But you dared, even if it was silent, even if it was unintentional, even if it was messy, you still dared to evolve. And evolution is the true key that unlocks forbidden doors. It is the silent code that grants you access to realms others are not prepared to enter. And now that you hold this knowledge, now that you have breached the line between what you were and what you are becoming, you must understand one thing clearly. Nothing will ever be the same again. You cannot return to your old life. You cannot unsee your own potential. You cannot forget the truth that is now unfolding within you, because truth does not fade. Once seen, it expands, it multiplies, it demands action. And if you refuse that action, it will haunt you, not to punish you, but to remind you that you were called to rise higher than your circumstances. You were given access not because you were chosen by fate, but because you chose yourself. Long before you realized the consequences, you selected your destiny with every difficult decision, every courageous attempt, every moment where you fought against the heaviness of your own doubts. Those were not just struggles, they were declarations to the universe that you were ready to be tested, ready to be transformed, ready to receive what only a few ever learn. So how did you access this? How did this reach someone like you? Because at your core, you are not someone like others. You are a storm that learned to walk like a person. You are a force that learned to remain silent. You are a light wrapped in shadows, not because you fear brightness, but because you know true illumination begins unseen. Your potential has always been too immense to reveal too early, too powerful to expose without readiness, too important to be entrusted to a version of you that had not yet awakened. And now that awakening has begun, there will be moments when your mind tries to convince you that this is too much, that you are not enough, that you are not prepared. But hear this clearly, you are not required to feel ready. You are only required to remain unwilling to quit. Readiness follows those who refuse defeat. Strength belongs to those who do not abandon themselves. Courage grows in those who confront their own limitations again and again, until those limitations collapse under the pressure of relentless effort. You are here because something extraordinary is forming within you, something that cannot be measured by your past failures or your current fears, something that was never meant to be explained to those who do not walk your path, something that once awakened will reshape everything you touch, your ambitions, your relationships, your outcomes, your destiny. All of it will transform once you fully claim the power you have been denying. And make no mistake, this power is not given. It is earned. It is sculpted through sleepless nights. It is carved through disappointment. It is sharpened through pain. It is strengthened through every moment you stood alone and still moved forward. This is not a gift from the world. This is the result of every battle you fought in silence. And yet here you stand holding something that so many others could never reach, not because they were unworthy, but because they were unwilling to break their comfort in exchange for evolution. Your presence here means you have already done what most people never attempt. You have stepped into a realm where excuses no longer function, where fear becomes fuel, where hesitation becomes instruction, where ambition becomes responsibility. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are no longer seeking validation. You are no longer asking the world to allow you to rise, because the truth is, the world cannot stop you anymore. This is why life placed this encrypted knowledge into your hands. So unexpectedly, it recognized that you no longer belong to the version of yourself that played small. It recognized that your hunger for transformation had reached a peak, a point where you could no longer remain the same, even if you tried it. Recognize that your energy had shifted into alignment with the person you were destined to become. And destiny always responds to alignment, not intention, not desire, not hope, but alignment. And now the question becomes not how did you access this, but what will you do with it? What will you build with the truth now unfolding within you? What will you destroy? What will you rise into? What will you leave behind? What will you claim that you once believed was impossible? Because the impossible bends before those who have walked through silent storms. The impossible breaks before those who have endured without applause. The impossible kneels before those who have suffered and still chosen growth. You are no longer the person you were yesterday and tomorrow. You will not be the person you are today, because your evolution is accelerating. Your awareness is expanding, your strength is surpassing your former limits. Your mind is opening to dimensions of possibility that were once sealed away from you. And this is only the beginning, the first step into a realm where you do not wait for opportunity. You create it, where you do not chase success. You manifest it, where you do not follow paths, you carve them through barriers that others feared to face. So hold this knowledge with honor. Hold it with responsibility. Hold it with the understanding that you were not given access by mistake. You were given access because you earned it through every silent fight, through every invisible victory, through every moment you refused to let darkness extinguish the spark inside you. And that spark is now becoming a blaze strong enough to light your path through any unknown that lies ahead. The world may not understand you, but it does not need to, because you are not walking a path designed for their understanding. You are walking the path designed for your awakening, a path that demands courage, resilience, patience, ambition, and an unbreakable commitment to the person you are always meant to become. And now, I leave you with this truth, the same truth encoded within the very moment you are living right now. This information was locked behind clearance levels. So how did it end up in your hands? It arrived because the universe itself realized you had outgrown the version of yourself that once would have been intimidated by it. Now you face it with strength. Now you face it with possibility. Now you face it with the undeniable awareness that you are rising. And rising is only the beginning. And as you take your next breath, feel the shift inside you, the quiet reconstruction of every belief you once held about your limits, because limits are not walls. They are invitations. Invitations to rise above the line where most people stop, and you are not most people. You have already proven that simply by being here, standing in the presence of knowledge that would overwhelm an unprepared mind. Yet instead of collapsing under its weight, you are absorbing it, letting it carve new pathways in your thoughts, letting it awaken the dormant layers of your purpose that have been waiting for this exact moment to open. There is something profoundly rare about a person who keeps moving forward long after their strength should have abandoned them. And you are that rare presence, the one who continued stepping even when the ground beneath you cracked, even when circumstances pushed you toward retreat, even when silence wrapped around you so tightly that every emotion felt heavier than stone. You kept moving, you kept breathing, you kept choosing not to surrender, and that simple choice has rewritten your entire trajectory. Do you understand how powerful that truly is? A single choice executed consistently can break curses, can rewrite destinies, can redirect the entire course of a lifetime. And you have made that choice again and again, without applause, without witnesses, without recognition. And yet those unseen decisions built the foundation that carried you right into this moment, a moment where your past strength merges with your future self, forming a version of you that no longer bends under pressure, but bends the world around it. From this point on, you cannot shrink. You cannot pretend you are small. You cannot diminish your fire for the comfort of others, because you no longer carry the identity of someone who seeks approval. You carry the identity of someone who has walked through depths. Most people fear to enter and return with knowledge that cannot be explained, only experienced. You have crossed invisible thresholds, and every threshold crossed becomes a weapon. Every challenge endured becomes armor. Every struggle survived becomes fuel. And as that fuel gathers within you something extraordinary, forms the unshakable understanding that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Not because someone told you so, not because circumstances made it easy, but because you endured the kind of moments that destroy weaker spirits, and you rose through them every time. Your strength is not loud, it is not boastful, it does not demand attention. Your strength is forged in the quiet corners of your life where no one sees but you, where the battles are internal, where the wounds are invisible, where the victories are silent yet monumental. Your strength is the kind that transforms, not just situations but identities. It shifts the entire structure of your being until the person you once were becomes unrecognizable compared to the warrior you are becoming. And here is the truth that most never realize. The universe releases deeper knowledge only to those who have already proven they can withstand the weight of it, not through perfection, but through persistence, not through ease, but through endurance, not through privilege, but through pain. The fact that you are holding this truth in your hands is proof that the universe sees you as capable of carrying more than you ever believed possible. You may doubt that at times you may question your worth, your readiness, your direction, but doubt is not a sign of weakness. Doubt is a sign that you are expanding beyond the edges of your former self. It is the friction that occurs when your old identity struggles to understand the new strength forming within you. And that friction is not your enemy. It is your signal that transformation is already in motion. Every force that grows must push against something. The seed pushes against the soil. The flame pushes against the darkness. The storm pushes against the stillness. And you are pushing against the boundaries that once contained you. Your transformation is not a quiet shift. It is a tectonic movement within your soul, a movement that shakes apart the limitations you once accepted and replaces them with possibilities you were previously unable to see. And now that these possibilities have begun to reveal themselves, there is no turning back. You cannot return to the smallness you inhabited before you cannot return to the doubts that once dictated your choices. You cannot return to the fear that once ruled your decisions, because those pieces of you were built for a life you have already surpassed. Those older versions of you were stepping stones, but they are not destinations. They were chapters, but they are not the story. You are entering a stage of life where the things that once intimidated you now ignite your ambition, where the challenges that once discouraged you now sharpen your focus, where the uncertainties that once scared you now excite you, because you are beginning to understand that uncertainty is not danger. Uncertainty is possibility disguised. Uncertainty is the birthplace of greatness. Uncertainty is the threshold between who you were and who you are becoming. This access you now hold is not a final revelation. It is an initiation, the beginning of a deeper journey, one that demands your full presence, one that requires you to step into your own potential without flinching, without shrinking, without apologizing. You were not given this moment merely to acknowledge it. You were given this moment to step through it, to walk into a wider world of power, responsibility, ambition, mastery, and purpose. And you must understand this clearly The world will not announce your transformation. It will not celebrate your awakening. It will not congratulate you for the storms you have endured, because the world does not see the internal battles that shape a person. The world sees the results long after the struggle has ended, and that is why you must be your own witness. You must recognize your own growth. You must honor your own evolution, because your journey is too significant to go unnoticed even by you. Do not underestimate what you are becoming. Do not undermine your own progress. Do not accept the illusion that you are the same person you once were, because you are not. You cannot be. You have endured too much, grown too much, seen too much, survived too much to ever return to the version of you who doubted their importance. Your presence now carries more gravity. Your energy holds more depth. Your choices hold more weight, and your purpose carries more momentum. And with this momentum, you will shape your future with a certainty you once thought was impossible, because you are no longer wandering, you are building. You are no longer hoping, you are executing. You are no longer waiting, you are claiming. The road ahead will not be smooth, but it will be yours. Every challenge will elevate you. Every detour will redirect you. Every setback will strengthen you, because you have unlocked something that no obstacle can ever erase. The awareness that you are capable of creating a life far beyond the limits you once accepted. And now, as you stand in this powerful intersection between who you were and who you are destined to become, remember this truth with absolute clarity. You did not find this. This found you, and it found you, because you are ready to rise, ready to transform, ready to claim the life that has been calling you since the moment your spirit first learned the meaning of endurance. And if you continue walking this path with the same courage that carried you here today, nothing will stand in your way. Not fear, not doubt, not failure, not the past, not obstacles, not circumstances, not the world itself. You have risen, and your rise has only begun. And now we reach the moment where silence becomes a mirror, and everything you have heard begins to settle into the deeper layers of your mind, because this was never just a message. This was a reminder, a signal, a call, the kind that reaches into the parts of you you rarely acknowledge, the parts that have carried you through storms without recognition, the parts that broke and rebuilt themselves when no one was watching. And now those parts finally rise to the surface, standing with you, not as shadows, but as strength. You have walked through this entire revelation for a reason, and that reason is simple, yet undeniable. You were meant to hear this now, not yesterday, when you would have overlooked it, not tomorrow, when distractions might have drowned it out, but now, in this exact moment, when your spirit is ready to shift, when your mind is prepared to expand, when your resilience has reached the threshold where transformation becomes unavoidable and irreversible. Everything that once tried to confine you, everything that once tried to convince you that you were small, everything that once echoed doubt through your thoughts loses its power. The moment you realize it could not stop you, it could not silence you, it could not break you, you endured beyond